What's going on, everybody? FYB presents Wise Word Wednesdays, a quick live stream to help you get closer to accomplishing your dreams. I'm your host, Joe Spider, and I do represent the fresh. Listen, we got a great episode for you this evening, but I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody that's taking time out of their day to check out this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, or if you're checking us out on Instagram Live, or if you're watching the recorded version. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of y'all, because you could be doing anything in this world, but instead you're taking out time to listen to us. So I appreciate that. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. That's right. You can subscribe to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel right now, right? And try to reshare this information if you can. When you hit the like button, it allows YouTube and Instagram and all these different social media outlets to be able to spread the message that we're sharing so that other people can get it. Because these Wise Word Wednesdays, I like to say it like my old pastor used to say, one of my old pastors, Pastor Childs, he said, eat the fish and spit out the bones, right? Take what's meant for you, and whatever's not, go ahead and cast it aside. But you have no idea who that bone is for, right? That bone might be for somebody else. So when you hit the like button or when you share this information, you're giving it a possibility to live and to resonate with other people. So I think it's important, if you can, to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Instagram Live, I appreciate that, but I'm going to ask you to make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because when you leave comments on the YouTube, we can actually see this on the live and we can interact with it. It makes it a lot easier for my guests, because they could actually see your official comment and acknowledge it. We want to make sure we show love and appreciation to everybody that's taking time out of their day to be able to comment on this content. So I have a person who's basically like, I'm gonna just say he's another host to the show. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been rocking for a minute on the show. Y'all already know Mr. Cornelius Brown. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
What's going on? I love the spiel you gave. It was very in depth and with a lot of clarity in it. So yeah, that was great, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And, as a Sac State alum, I see you rocking the Sac State shirt right now. You feel me? I represent it, what I'm saying,
Fingers
as
up.
well. So Stingers up, no doubt. And shout out to President Luke Wood doing some great things. The Sac State alum, who's the new president of, well, not new president, but who is the president of Sacramento State. First black president that they've had, you know what I'm saying? The youngest president in the CSU system. So shout out to him for handling business there. But we got a great topic for our audience today. And this was actually a topic that, Corin had brought to my attention months ago, right? Like, we were talking about the idea of gratitude and the importance of it. And I know that there's some things that, Corin, that you specifically want to address. So I want to kick it off to you. What is gratitude from your perspective, and tell me, if you can, briefly, the importance of it, or what makes it important?
So can I start with giving like a brief history about it and kind of,
Absolutely,
building
yeah,
up to that?
for sure.
So if we're trying to understand gratitude from a foundation, it was started like around in the BC, the third century BC. It was a time when Alexander did some great things. Well, not great things. I wouldn't say that. Scratch that. He conquered a few places, and people were like, well, this is something that's new to the world we're unfamiliar with. A lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty what's going on. And so people were looking at the time for something to follow. And so what happened was, I'm not getting too deep into it, but the Stoics offered an opportunity for people to see their anxieties differently. They use the word reframe a lot too. So to reframe things, to not see things as always so bad. And so in this instance, the beginning, what we see is we talk about everything, even suffering, right, is part of nature. And so that's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is this idea Now, and I'll read this because I really, like I
I'm
said,
writing that down. Suffering is part of nature. I'm writing that down
yeah,
for sure. I'm gonna
yeah.
use that as a wise word one of these days. No doubt.
So everything, even suffering, is part of nature. Meaning it's like what Bruce Lee says, like be water, my friends, type of thing, right? But a definition of because I've done a lot of reading around this gratitude, and the definition I came up with is gratitude is an intentional practice of giving thanks to the divine, the universe, or life itself for blessing and challenges alike, as an expression of humility, trust, and connection. Right. So, in short, what that's telling us is one, that both sides exist, the good with the bad.
Hmm.
When the good things happen to us, we don't say, yeah, 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 yeah. We say things like, man, I'm so grateful for this. They don't bask in that moment, right? So let's say you have $1 million. A person
I
with
can't wait. I can't wait.
but a person with gratitude would say something to the effect of just like, this is cool. Okay, on to the next. They don't bask in that thing because they understand. And before I get to the morbid part, they understand that this could be taken away at any point in time, and they have no control over it.
Right.
So that's why they don't bask in the goodness of that $1 million. But they also understand too that when the challenges come, you're grateful for them. You and I talked about on one of the podcasts where Stephen Colbert says, and I'm pretty sure I'm phrasing it by quote, but he says something to the effect of, "I'm grateful for the things I wish never happened to me." That's gratitude.
Oh, wait, could you say it again? So I'm
Sure.
grateful for the things I wish never
Never
happened.
happened to me.
Oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. Okay, got you. I was
Right.
like, wait, grateful for, but yes, I get it. Grateful for the things that I wished never happened. So like sometimes we have bad things that happen in our lives, right? And we're like, man, I wish that didn't happen at the time because you're in it. But then when you grow and you see like those tough times, it's almost like that quote, right? Where it says like, good times create weak men create tough times create strong men create good times. So it's like at the time I didn't realize that tough time was hard on me, but now looking back at it, it's what helped allow me to evolve. Is that kind of what the quote was saying, or am I misinterpreting?
You're not misinterpreting, but put what you're saying more into the present.
Into the present. Okay.
So it's about reframing. So, and I'll get into examples about this. But what gratitude says is, I am going through this present moment right now, and it sucks, and it hurts, and I don't feel good about it, and I don't know what to do. I'm clearly lost. Reframing, keep it with that example. Reframing says, yeah, you do feel this way. What's in your control?
Mm.
What actions can you take? Are you going to overreact? Right? And with that reframe, you can then say something to the effect of, yeah, I can do hard things. It sucks, but I can do hard things. I'll give you a perfect example of this, and then we'll kind of adjust because there's a lot to talk about around here.
Gotcha.
I've done a lot of cryo recently, a lot of it. You sit in the
A lot of what?
chamber, cryotherapy. So you sit in a
Cryo.
cold
Okay,
chamber, sit in a
yep.
cold chamber, right? And so there's 4 levels. And my initial session, I'm sitting in there still 3.5 minutes. I'm sitting in there, and through the practice of gratitude, I'm acknowledging what's happening in that present time because it doesn't feel good. It's not comfortable. I don't know what to do. I have never been in that type of weather in my life. And I'm yelling out loud, this is hard. This sucks. I want to get out of here. And then I said, well, this is going to help. For reframe this, yeah, it sucks, but it's going to help my recovery time. And am I in danger? No. Am I hurt? No. Is this an emergency? No. This is something I'm doing for the betterment of my body. Got through that, right? So I ended up sitting there for the whole 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Here's the cool part, dude. Here's that I want to share. I shared this experience with someone, right? I'm like, yo, I'm sitting in this chamber, cold as hell. I'm saying I don't like it. This sucks. And so when I told this person, they were saying like, those are all negative things. And then I said, oh, that's interesting, right? Because to me, through reframing, those weren't negative things. That's just what it was
What
in
was
that
happening?
present time.
Right.
So here's the cold part, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have some questions about this. Imagine the culture where you and I come from when it comes to reframing. Imagine that, right? We come from a culture of fight or flight.
Right.
When you come from a culture of fight or flight, for majority of us, I'm not saying all of us, but I would just speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
We come from a position where you have to choose a side, fight or flight. On top of that, you're making decisions because you're fear or you're worried about something happening, right? So that causes anxiety. That is stress. Man, I need to uh if I don't pay this bill on time, oh man, they go cut off my electricity. Fight or flight. I got to figure something out. Gratitude will say in that same instance, so the bill is due. It's likely that you're going to be late. And that's okay. Can you pay it later though? Do you have a job? Why are you freaking out so much?
Mm.
Fight or flight is what leads to the judgment. It leads to the vicious cycle of where we come from. Oh, you got the new J's, or you got a few bands in your pocket. Well, let me go ahead and uh get some too, because I need to feel a part of that, right? Because you just ain't gonna be the one looking fresh.
Right.
Or fight or flight says, here's a good one. Fight or flight says, man, I thought you had my back. You ain't got my back? Oh, we ain't cool then. That's fight or flight, right? Um, Situations where uh, there's judgments around the things we do and we don't understand it. That's fight or flight. So when we talk about gratitude, at least for where I stand and what it's helped me a lot, is mitigate or rethink those flight or fight moments. Because like I told you a long time ago, I think during the first session, I told you, like, when I started going back to therapy, I knew my life was going in a different trajectory. And I didn't know how, but I knew the fight or flight culture that I come from, that I'm used to, was not going to sustain me. It was going to give me more stress. It was going to say, if you didn't do this, it's going to happen. It will worry. I will go down this rabbit hole. Gratitude says, no, be present in that moment that you're in and reframe what's going on. So I'll stop right there just for a second.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to the having that kind of experience, right? Like in life, where like you're in the moment. Like, let's just say, for example, you got to pay a bill, like you just said, right? And I was in a time where it was like, man, bro, this is about to hit. This is about to hit my pockets, like, bruh, it's about to be ugly, boy. But then I thought about it, right? And then this just like recently happened. I'm like, right. I thought about it, and I'm like, I used to pray to be in this kind of position, to be able to have money, to be able to pay an extremely large bill. You feel me? And it's like at that moment, I started to be like, I ain't got nothing to complain about. Like it's almost, it takes me back to that old school I think it was Jay-Z bar where he said, well, no, I think it's Wayne. Wayne was like, it costs to be the boss, so I guess I got to pay it, right? Or when Jay-Z said, everybody's bosses to them invoices come in, separate the boys from the men. You know what I mean? Like when if you pray to have these type of opportunities, you can't get mad when the responsibility comes, right? Because it comes with that type of opportunity, or the ability to or the requirement to have to invest even more, whether it be physically, whether it be financially, whatever it is. Like if you want to be a star athlete, right? Like, yeah, it sucks doing them sprints on the football field, doing it, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like that's a part of the process. And I do want to acknowledge Mary left a comment and said, thank you for sharing the history, and said she's going to share the info with her team tomorrow. So I just want to make sure that they get acknowledged for that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. So let's add on a little something to that too, right? So
Okay.
it's not the idea that you can't complain, because
Mm-hmm.
again, this is a conversation you have with yourself. And here's what I learned through gratitude. I call it the old me and the new me.
Mm.
The old me complains, and this is what I've learned. I'm so like grateful for my therapist. The old me does the complaining. The new me acknowledges and validates those complaints, because if I don't, I might end up treating people that way, right? Because
Well,
how
so
I
like
treat
what are when you say that you validate, like could you go more in depth about like what do you mean when you say you validate? It doesn't have to be a ton of examples, but just can you
no, I
give me
hear you.
one?
Yeah. Like I'm complaining. I'm complaining that it's too hot outside, or I'm
Mhm.
complaining that I have to do these drills. I'm complaining that I have to pay all the bills. I'm complaining that life is not fair,
Okay.
right? So how I validate that with myself is saying, you know what, I can see your point. You know what? Because it's the old me, right? It's the old me. I'm saying yes. I validate you because back then, you know, you would have, uh, you would have went down a different path, and I want to acknowledge you. And what I would do with that, even to the point now, I'll share a story with you. Even to the point where I will tell my old self, you know what, this is really on your mind. Let's write it out.
Hmm.
So what that acknowledgement of complaining does, it lets that old me get out. Okay, this is how you're feeling. So then once that all that's written down, I can reframe. The new me can step in and say, you know what? Yeah, that's what it is. But we have to do something different, because what we do know is that going from the old you and from experience, that doesn't end well for us. So let's try something new. And if you have feelings about trying something new and you don't like it, I will let you speak up again. So
Gotcha.
that practice by itself, that transfer how you treat people though. Right? Think about when someone gets there's a few dudes that you and I know that are going through a lot right now. And I catch myself talking to them like how I talk to myself, not even almost like subconsciously, like, damn, that's crazy. Now I hear what you're saying. It sucks. Let's get it out. I'm not saying take an action. I'm saying let's get it out. That getting out is the validation for yourself, and you need that, and you deserve that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, um, I would say, get it out irresponsibly. You know what I mean? I
Mm,
think that's what many of our people do, is that like we'll get it out, but we'll get it out in a way that's not productive or not proper. So instead of acknowledge, right? It's okay to be frustrated and be like, yo, I'm mad that it's hot, right? Like I'm
uh,
frustrated. And so what we'll end up doing is taking it out on those that are in proximity to us, right? And when we're talking about those that are in proximity, most likely is people who actually care about us, because those are typically the ones that are in proximity, unless you're talking about our work environment, right? Which
Mhm.
is still people who care about, hopefully they care about the job that they have. And those are people we spend a lot of time around. So we end up taking it out on those individuals simply because we didn't acknowledge it in the proper way. And that ultimately shifts the trajectory of where this can kind of go, as opposed to doing it in a healthier way, like you're talking about, where people are able to sit down and say, like, hey, yes, it's hot outside, but again, I'm thankful that I even have shade. Man, I can't believe that I have a place to be able to avoid being in the hot on a consistent time, you know what I mean, or consistently like that. So I just know that a lot of people don't necessarily express themselves in the healthiest way, and I think it impacts their environments too.
So you're actually going to the next step. What you said is the next step,
Hmm.
because the acknowledgement is just what the conversation, right? What you're talking about is very true, and what again, I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna say some, not all. To what you said the negative, how they do things, the negative part of it. What they want for the majority of the part are their actions validated, not their thoughts, right? So the action is I take it out on you,
Mm.
and I took it out on you because it's hot, right? See the difference there? Like, well, man, you know it's hot out here, so I'm a little frustrated. Okay. So that means you want me to validate your actions of why you are mad when you're hot. And that's when it so think about it this way. Let's get to a cultural thing. Uh with our peers. Oh blood, dude ain't cool. I know y'all partners are, but dude ain't cool, and I know you longer than I know him. Like, he got over on me, so I ain't talking to him no more. So what that person's really saying is, through my actions of not talking anymore, one, I need you to join me too, and I'm also looking for you to validate he got over on me, so I'm not talking. I might ask you to validate my thoughts. I want you to validate my actions. And that's where the mismatch comes in. That's why I don't know if you noticed, but when I have conversations, I work with a lot of people on this. It's been crazy. It's been, it's been cool. We get defensive. Not again, we get defensive when it's I want you to validate my actions, and then I ask you, well, what were you thinking? What you
Mm.
mean? What I was thinking? Ooh, fight or flight. All they saying is I was thinking fight or flight,
Right.
which is I get it. Like, I empathize with that. Like, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that lightly. Like, nah, like I get it, but you have to understand that that the fight or flight in our culture, and this is gonna sound a little morbid. Yeah, I'm gonna say it sucks, but I don't think I will see it the way I would like to see it in my lifetime. And I know that's kind of, I don't call it negative, but
No, no,
it's
I don't think it's negative. I think that
yeah,
it's more of a realist, right? A
yeah,
setting an expectation. Like, for example, even MLK, right? He said when we talked about the idea of getting to the freedom lane, he said, "I might not get there when you get there, but eventually we'll get there." And I think we actually, in our society, have to do a better job setting expectations that are more realistic for people in society, and not necessarily feeling like we're gonna have like our individual selves are going to be the benefactor of that said expectation. So I can say, I believe that we're going to live in a society where it's not a bi-party system, right? Not Democrat versus Republican. It'll be a more multivarious, right? Like types of parties that could potentially win presidency as opposed to one or the other. Now, I might not be alive to see that happen, right? But it doesn't mean it's impossible. It doesn't
sure.
mean it will never happen. So I
Sure.
want to say that. But I also there was a comment that was posted by Allison Bolton. But I want, if you can provide some clarity from Allison about this comment, because it seems kind of weird. So let me know if you can, if you're still watching, Allison, before I post it. Let me know if you could provide some clarity, because I wasn't sure if you were talking about the specifics in regards to having a gratitude, or if this was something specific or direction or unique. So give me more clarity so that I can post that comment. But okay, but go ahead though.
Yeah. So let's get back to the morbid part just for a second. gratitude pretty much was founded around morbid ideas, around the idea of accepting death, right? Writing your own obituary,
Mm.
seeing your because think about the definition. I'm able to accept what I'm able to accept. I'm not gonna everything in life. I don't own anything, right? Like I only can control myself, and I know that my time on this earth, excuse me, is not going to be forever, right? So while I'm here, I'm going to appreciate and be grateful for everything, good or bad, and that that right there, that's tough. No one wants to think like that, and again, that's something I can empathize with, but the argument around gratitude is, well, how could you show so much gratitude if you can't have these types of conversations with yourself, if you can't understand how death really works or even talk about it, right? Because what we do know is that I'm going to end it here, but what we do know is that it's not the idea of death that we're afraid of, it's what we're losing, what we can't do anymore, what we won't be a part of anymore. It's not the idea of this death. It's just, for majority of the part, it's I won't be here to hang out with my family, friends, this, that, and I'm gonna lose all that. That's typically uh, what we are afraid of. But through death, through what I'm saying, what we tend to see or what we tend to know through gratitude is that you start to appreciate things more. You start to value your time more. Um, I found out through this whole gratitude thing. I never forget, we as a family, we went to go walk at we do a walk at a creek every Sunday, and this lady doesn't know. She said, "Isn't this a beautiful day? The sun is shining." And I yelled, "Hell yeah!" Because I was in that space. When you're in that space, the little things matter. That's gratitude, right? You're not worried about, a few good things have happened, like I told you about, and I don't. I mean, you know me by now. I don't like to talk about that stuff too much. Like, okay, cool. Let's go on to the next thing, right? So, but I want to share a few things about what gratitude is not.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, sorry.
It's interesting that we're talking about gratitude, right? Because what my Wise Word Wednesday today, for those who might not, if you don't know, I do Wise Word Wednesdays every week. I do a motivational content, been doing this since 2017. So we're in year 8, about to start year 9 in October of doing Wise Word Wednesdays every week. And so on my Facebook, my Instagram, I share these Wise Word Wednesdays. And today's Wise Word was basically, it was a part of a 3-part series. And it was the topic was like, stop playing with my God. So, and today was part 3 of it. And what I basically said was, people only like pray when they're in need of something, like they're using God like a genie in a bottle type stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, like, you only pray when it's like, God, give me this job, or God, give me this money, or give me this opportunity, right? But are you even praying like thankful for the things that you do have, right? And the I only did about 1 minute and 20 seconds, so it's I try to keep it short and sweet, especially because folks' attention span is short. But it's like a lot of folks aren't even grateful for the things that they do have, but they're asking for more, right? Like it's interesting that our topic is gratitude, right? But so many people fail to have gratitude for what they actually possess because they're so busy thinking about what's next all the time that they can't even be thankful for that. And I do want to acknowledge, I think it's Hattie Coleman said, gratitude programs the non-conscious minds. It takes you from the victim mentality to the player mentality. What do you think, Corn? Ooh, great question.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Hattie. Thank you, Hattie. Hattie, I think that's what we're saying, right? The mentality of, I can reframe this, right? Like I can I can look at something and say, you know what? Let me share my example. because Addie brings up the best thing, and I'm gonna give two examples. They happen at the same time, and again, I like to be the type of person that like where I share my experiences, and I'm vulnerable with everyone because I care about people, and I want to be that person that you can have a beer with, and just when you meet me, hey, what's up, Corn? Hey, what's going on? Oh, nothing, chilling. So to Hattie's point, so uh, this isn't the point, but recently, what my wife and I we purchased a home in Florida, and we thought it'd be great for family, and so during this time, the transition, bills still need to be paid at other places, and so it kind of threw a wrench in our plans. So old me is like, what the hell, man? Like it's always something. Uh, I need help sometimes too. Who's helping me out right now? Why do I always got to do this by myself? So then, I kid you not, like 10 minutes later, I get a call from my daughter. Dad, we got to talk about tuition to University of Oregon. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, yo, what's going on? And then I found out, that my ex-wife, uh she's doing so I'm reframing this because I'm not gonna speak ill will of anybody because
Yeah.
she does a phenomenal job. They had to go to orientation, and my daughter got a scholarship that would pretty much help her with school. So what ended up happening is um, she used some of her scholarship money. Dang, excuse me.
All good.
Yeah,
All
so
good.
she used some of her scholarship money.
You need to take a second to get some water. You good?
I will. Dang, something to clear my throat. But she used some of her scholarship money for the trip. In my head, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Owe me. What are you doing? This isn't cool. So I sat back talked to my therapist about it because I was silent for like 3 days. Um, I couldn't figure this out. I didn't understand what was going on because the old me was taking over the new me by like 70-30%. And I had to realize, again, to Hattie's point, I'm not the victim here. I can't control what happens, but I can shape it a different way. So with my wife, and I'm not calling it a situation, it was just the circumstance of what it was. I have to reframe. It's like, you know what? You're in a blessed position, kind of what you're saying, to do what you have to do. You can't control external factors that happen outside of her control, nor any of your control. So, in what you said, stop complaining. It's no emergency. No one's dying. You're not trapped. With my ex-wife, she's doing the best she can do with what she has to help our daughter get to University of Oregon. That's dope. Baby, we'll figure something out. Right? So that's the old me and the new me talking. To Hattie's point, that's taking me outside, taking me as I'm not the victim, put me back in the game mentality so I can get to work. That process, though, is not easy. That's why gratitude is a practice. It's not I can just flip this, because the old you is never going to go away. You can't compartmentalize that old you. But what you can do is acknowledge the feelings that you're having. So acknowledging that you don't like this. Yeah, you don't like it. It sucks. Acknowledging that you don't think this is fair. Okay, that's cool. Get it out. Journal about it. But you got to get back in the game. So to Hattie's point, that's exactly what it is, and I agree. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely does, and I think that's definitely a great example. I'm going to talk for a little bit if you want to get some water.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that's definitely a great example of what Hattie was saying. And I think when you begin to learn that process, right, um of going from victim to controller to player to um having the ability to, I think it really shifts the way you see life, right? Like it shifts the way that you move. But like, Corn was saying, it's not an instantaneous thing. It's a process. And what I will say is there are people who have been doing meditation, doing therapy, doing all uh, um the awareness practice, right? To make sure that they are aware of and observant of how they're displaying themselves, and still mess up in the process of having gratitude. So it's not a do this and you'll get it, right?
Right.
It's a spectrum, right? Like, so you could be, some people are experts, excellent, but they still have their issues, and then some people are just beginning. But regardless, this, when you tend to have gratitude, it's just a different way of looking at life. And I believe that, and I think what Corn just expressed, and I think what Hattie's point is that it allows you to be more at peace with what's happening in your life, because you feel more in control of the things that you can control, as opposed to being a victim of what the world is doing that's out of your control. I cannot control how much traffic is on the 50. You feel me? I cannot control if there is a car accident or not. But what I can control is what I think about what I'm seeing. I can control if there is an accident, as opposed to being so upset that this person caused all the traffic and now I'm gonna be 25 minutes late to work. What I can say is, man, I'm so thankful that I'm safe. Wow. This person here's life could be ruined given their accident, and they may not ever get an opportunity to have to go to work again.
Yeah.
They may not get an opportunity to even live anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I don't have to have that right now. So I appreciate the fact that I actually get a chance to fulfill my day without any injuries. And that's, again, going back to what my wise word was today, when I was like, when's the last time you thank God for the ability to move without restrictions,
Mhm.
move your arms and your legs? And I know that everybody watching may not be like religious or anything like that, but I'm just, again, using this as an example, is that when's the last time you woke up and said, like, I'm so thankful that I get to sit up on my own. I get to get up out of bed on my own. I get to wash myself, right? I don't need somebody to bathe me. I can do it myself. I can see. I can hear, right? Those are things that I think people take for granted, but those are things that many people would kill to have if they had an opportunity to.
Yeah. So the reason why, so earlier you talked about how as a society the expectations, it's a lot of gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, one of the many reasons why our society is like that is because we want to be in control. Let's use the education system for a second. There was a time, and it still exists, where, and I'm not saying this about any university, but what we do know is that, you know, people were getting degrees that probably shouldn't have gotten degrees. And what we also found out is that there was a level of complaining going on. My teacher did this, you know, and my grade should be reviewed again. Now, I'm not saying all of it was not valid, but I am saying that we have seen that. And what that all that is, what you're saying, D, all that is, that's fight or flight. It's it has to go my way. I have to be in control because this is all I have. And if it doesn't go my way, all the anxiety things that I feel will happen. Gratitude says, dang, I didn't pass this class. Man, that sucks. I might most likely have to take the class again. Um, but I know I'll do better this next time going around. Right? Like that's but you get there through practice. So me personally, when I talk about gratitude, I rarely like to talk about the good times because that's not the thick of things of what it is. Like,
Yeah.
no, I want to. If you want to talk to me, I don't care about your success. I mean, not like that, but tell me what you're struggling with. Let's work on navigating that. Right, like the saying, and you heard this before. Man, it's always something. Yeah, it's supposed to be always something.
Yeah.
It doesn't go nowhere. It doesn't. What you're supposed to do, in theory, when it's always something, learn how to navigate through it. When you start to navigate through things through gratitude, again, this is just me talking and what I've seen. When you learn to navigate through tough times, you'll find that through reframing, it's not so bad as you make it. Hence why one of the benefits of gratitude is it lowers your stress. And through gratitude, you're lowering that old you that's caught in that fight or flight mode. And we have to, you know, you I know I'm kind of speaking general here, but we have to understand that. If you don't understand this concept of that you're in a fight or flight mode and you want control, and that's how you are, then the likelihood of you reaching gratitude is less. I would never say anything can't be done, but you're really only appreciating what's in front of your face that's external or that's material, rather than the saying, rather than saying, you know what, I'm really grateful for this. Kind of goes back to why, and let's talk about gratitude from another perspective. It's kind of why I still drive my 2006 Toyota Corolla. Been hit a few times. The AC don't work, so I will drive to Vacaville prison.
I ain't gonna lie, you're wilding for that. You're
Yeah.
tough for no AC.
Hey,
Yeah, that's tough.
I do. I'm grateful to have a vehicle. I'm grateful that this vehicle has gotten me through tough times. And I know through, if everything was taken away from me, that vehicle is mine.
That's
right?
real. That's right. I want to say, Rashanae Nicole said it's all about your perspective. So I want to give her a shout out too. Appreciate the comment. Yes.
Yeah. That's what it is. But there's, dang, time's going by fast today. But there's another part to this. Well, I'll go through this really quick to share, and then I have to talk about one more thing really quick.
Sure.
So let's talk about what gratitude is not. It's not being polite. It's not about being, oh, I'm just letting people walk over me. It's more like saying, dang, I'm glad I saw that in you. So let me move a little differently, so I can keep keep going, if you will. It's not this idea that of transactions like, oh, I'm doing this for you because you have to pay me back one day. Gratitude doesn't work that way, right? It's not a denial of hardship. It's, this is hard, like we talked about earlier. This is hard. We have to move. There's another one. It's not a comparison base, right? It's not about being self-centered. It's not a one-time act. Gratitude is a practice, right? And so through what I said, it's not, what we want to achieve is something called tranquility, right? So through gratitude, this idea is that you want to get to a place of tranquility. And with tranquility, what we want, and I'll read this, is a state of inner calm and serenity marked by freedom from emotional disturbance and stress, achieved by accepting what cannot be controlled, where the mind and emotions are steady, content, and in harmony with both oneself and the surrounding world. That's what gratitude, the practice of gratitude, will get you.
I love that. I love that. I also let me know, Rashane. Is it Rashani or Rashane? Let me know. But she said it's always something, and I'm great at navigating through these things. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's like acknowledging this the tough time, right?
Mhm.
Because the tough time is right, and I think that's part of the reason why I came up with these Wise Word Wednesdays in the first place. Was it wasn't because I was trying to say like me and my crew are better than you, or we're so much great that we got all this dope stuff to tell you. In reality, we just like, look, we going through shit, people going through stuff, right?
Mhm.
And we want to be able to share the wisdom from the hard lessons we've learned so that you don't have to learn that exact same hard lesson. You can learn a different hard lesson that's more advanced than what I learned at your age. So by the time you're my age, you're twice as ahead of the game as I was at that particular time, or
Yeah.
twice as experienced.
Yeah.
But acknowledging the fact that there's always going to be something, but each one of those times, and I kind of harken back to Steve Harvey when he was doing his Earn Your Leisure interview. He said, you're undefeated when facing your bad days. Every single bad day that you've ever had, you still got up that day and finished that day, and you're still alive to this day, which says that you're undefeated regardless of how bad your days have been. You have been equipped with the ability to handle and to overcome each of those bad days. So I absolutely love that comment, so I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. And through, so through gratitude we reach tranquility, but it's also important that we keep the community, right? I don't recommend doing this type of practice by yourself. It's too difficult because you have no one to kind of bounce things off of. I meet with my best friend uh, once a week. I do some training, and shout out to my coach Davin Maxwell.
Shout
He's
out to
always,
Maxwell.
huh?
I say shout out Coach Maxwell.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always, uh, he's always putting me in situations where, like, you're gonna you're gonna fail. You're not gonna do well, but how are you gonna take it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I really appreciate that. Because I couldn't, again, this is just me. I couldn't practice gratitude. Sure, I can journal on my own, but I need this. I need a community of people I can talk to. Say, you know what? How are you doing this? Or like I said with my therapist, when we talk, like, well, you could see it that way, but here's another way, right? And so you need that, and if people choose to, my opinion, it works in your favor, right? Because you're going to need that person that gets. So people take so fight or flight. People will take a different perspective. Is so you defending them, or
Mm.
so you against me, right? And that's powerful stuff to recognize when you're practicing this, right? Because you can't expect anyone, when you're going through your practice of gratitude, you can't expect people just to get it. That they don't get it at all, and you have to be okay with that, and it is okay, right? So when you're practicing gratitude and you're journaling and you're going through where you've acted out already because your emotions got the best of you, that's the time we say, you know what? Let me reframe it. Let me tell somebody what I did that I trust, right? That's going through something similar, and let me get back to that. Because again, we're not perfect. We all are not perfect. You're gonna last shadow time. Things are gonna happen, but you gotta come back. Almost like a rehab thing, if you will. And it's okay to keep coming back because you're human. Nothing about this is perfect. That's why it's a practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that, man. And I think that as long as you're able to acknowledge, right, that you're not perfect at it, I think it'll be a little bit easier. Not saying it'll be easy, it'll be a little bit easier for you along this journey, because if you start with the I'm going to perfect this, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Sure.
Because again, it's almost like a rubber band, right? Like as a rubber band if you were to hold a rubber band out for, let's say you just did it for like a week straight, like you put a book, opened it up in the middle of a rubber band and just stretched it out like that, right? Like that rubber band is now going to be extended in length from its original size. But if I took a bigger book, just slightly bigger, and stretched it again, it would still expand even larger. But it still takes a while, because if I just do it for 5 seconds and pull it out, the rubber band's going to go back to its original size.
Mhm.
But after a while of continuously stretching, it still stretches out and out and out. So think of that in your process. Like, no matter how good you think you're going to get, there's still further along that you can stretch, but it's going to take a continuous effort of doing that. And then once you think you've reached your max, guess what? That becomes the new bottom now,
Mhm.
right? That becomes a new bottom. And so now you're going to continuously work. So it's a continuous thing. It doesn't stop. You're going to always be working on this gratitude perspective of way of life.
Let me tell you how cold it is to when you start growing. Let me tell you how it went for me. So I'm like 10 minutes left into my therapy session, and again, I kind of shared the story with you all and with you about my wife and my ex-wife, and you know I said two things. I said, one, I said I'm annoyed now because I know better that the old me is not gonna come out. That awareness, that like that's ill. Like, oh, I'm just irritated. But you're gonna do better. You're gonna work it out. And so my therapist says, well, Cornelius, in 2 weeks is gonna be your last session. And I'm like, what? He's like, you got it. He's like, I've seen you from your first session to now. You're putting in the work. So this episode that you were going through, you did it. And so that feeling of, oh, I gotta I gotta do something else, or I gotta figure this out. It's a good yet party feeling. Cause I was upset. I was like, dude, I was like, I started thinking like, well, shit, let me lie on the next survey and tell you I'm backsliding, which I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, he's like, you ain't gonna do that. I said, true story, I'm not. But that growth. So you go so gratitude, right? What we're talking about practice, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna get better, and then things are gonna start moving in a different trajectory for you. You ready for the next thing? Guess what? It's gonna hurt again. Like there is no comfort in this. Nothing about this is comfort. But what we do know is through facilitating that discomfort is where we find that peace that we can accept and say, you know what, I can figure this out. I can do hard things. Um, did you want me to give some type of practical uh, like ways people can practice gratitude? Did you want me to cover
Yeah,
any of
yeah.
that?
Let's do that. Let's do
Okay.
that.
Okay. So one thing that folks can do is write 3 to 5 things each day of being thankful, good or small. I prefer the small things over the big things, but it's up to you. Again, despite the challenges or it being positive. So those are things you can do. Write 3 things down, 3 to 5 things down. Take time to tell someone specifically why you appreciate them. And I know I do this with a lot. I do this, almost every day. And we check on each other, right? So or
Absolutely.
appreciation. So doing that, and then pausing through the day to notice the simple pleasures in life, like smell the flowers. You got allergies, so what? Smell the flowers and sneeze, right? Appreciate the rain. Appreciate that your AC is on. Appreciate uh, some of the things that you could do. Through my practice, I was doing this besides the car. I would walk barefooted down the street for like 20, 30 steps. That's
Corn,
uncomfortable.
you're wilding. You're
That's uncomfortable.
like on the concrete or on the grass.
No, on the concrete, man. On the
Yo,
concrete.
you're tough.
I know.
You're
Not.
tough. That's
I,
that's a level of gratitude I am not there yet. I'll tell you.
well, I do it. I do it just to be thankful that I have shoes. I do it because
Oh, that's real. That's real.
that's why I'm doing it, and I do little things like that, man. That's just me, man. So
Okay, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But Yeah, so that's wait, oh, there's a few more. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. When faced with difficulties, ask what lesson, strength, or opportunity is hidden here. Right. So that's the old you, the fight or flight, and the new you saying, well, what are we missing? How do we reframe? So the new you, and it's good to separate the two, right? Like it's okay to say it's the old you and the new you. The old you, fight or flight. Look, we can't handle it that way anymore. What are we missing here? Right. So um, yeah, and just make it a routine.
Yeah, and I would say just um, some simple ways are just take a moment to
Yeah.
pause. You know what I'm saying? Like inhale, exhale. If you believe in, some people call it prayer, some people call it meditation, some people call it just vibing out. Whatever it is that you got to do, just take a moment. And I think just to reflect, even if it's just 3 minutes, just breathe in and breathe out and just reflect on your life, the things that you have, the things that, like, listen to the noise outside, listen to the trees shaking or blowing in the wind, or listen to the kids playing outside. Like, those are different ways that I think you can begin to center yourself, center your life, and be able to start to acknowledge, like, wow, I hear these things that are happening. That's a part of my life, and it's contributing to me, and I'm contributing, to it. So that's just one of the small tips that I have for you. Anything that you want to leave the folks before we get out of here? Any last nuggets?
Yeah, yeah. Not really a nugget, but if you're really serious about your walk on gratitude, to get to tranquility, it's a daily practice. Be kind, be gentle with yourself. It's okay to talk to yourself about these things, because when you're talking to yourself, you're acknowledging. And if you're able to acknowledge yourself, again, you can pass that on to other people. That experience has been really powerful to me. And so, you know, I wish everyone well. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know who's on here, but I'm not hard to find, so email, whatever the case may be, if I can help anyone. So,
No doubt, no doubt. And Tony Zitko said, "Thank you for the wise words, gentlemen. Very grateful for you, Professor." So
oh,
shout out to
thank
everybody
you.
that's came through and checked out the show. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel. Hit the like button as well. If you're not familiar with the show, Corn and I pretty much do these like once a month or so. I know we've been kind of out and about for summer. He had a busy schedule. I had a busy schedule, but we'll definitely be picking these back up over the next couple of months. Just hitting you with a lot of different topics, a lot of good information, good insight. Again, it's meant to give you some wisdom, and if it applies to you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. But when you like the comment, the share, all of those things, what you're doing is providing other people with an opportunity to learn from that wisdom, even though it may not apply to you. So I appreciate you, Corn, always. Thank you for being on the show. Much love, brother. And as I will leave y'all, like I typically do, I'm going to say refresh, and I love you. Have a great rest of your evening.